Good morning. I am so glad to see you guys back. So I am Heatherina and I'm here to talk about living for 11 years with two kids that could kill, did kill, or could potentially kill. So I was on the phone for an hour and a half on wait. Absolutely, completely hate being on hold, but I'm here to do this. So I already had my eyebrows done because while I was on hold, I wanted something to do. So I just played with my eyebrows. So I look really goofy right now. So today, I had to make some notes. It's a lot of notes, but I wanted to discuss, this is something that keeps coming up quite often. And so I wanted to discuss it about the facilities, getting help, all of that kind of stuff. So I want to discuss that, and we will discuss some of the things in there that had happened for him to go to the facilities. But for the most part, I really wanted to talk about that because a lot of people have a lot of questions on why didn't I get them help, which I've explained that I have. But I'm guessing that people are not understanding like what I mean by getting help. So I wanted to go into that a little bit today because that is an important part to the story. Another thing I wanted to discuss was that I am getting ready to write my book, which will have a whole lot more details because I am going to actually drag out journals and things that I've kept and pictures and things that I will be able to put in the book because it will be easier to mask it out in a book. I'm getting ready to start doing that. I've already got a lot of chapters already wrote, which is good because writing a book is so hard, guys. It's so hard. If you've never did it, it's so hard. So settle in. I got my Pepsi. You guys get your wine or whatever. I heard people are watching my series and they drink wine or they clean the house or they do their morning routine, and I love that because I have did that forever. So I pick a series, and when I get ready or when I work, I actually listen to other people's stories and stuff. So I really like that. I like that people are doing that. I want to get into, let me put this down a little closer so I can see it. So the first facility that my stepson was in, and I don't really know where I'm going with makeup looks. I am using MAC palette today and that brush. And I cleaned my other brushes, so I'm using like wonky brushes today. So bear with me. You know. And this, I don't really know what I don't even know if I like this palette for sure. It's new. My boyfriend got it for me. Because he's the sweetest person in the world. And he spoils me rotten. But let's get into this. So yeah, that brush is not cutting it. She's not cutting it. The first facility he was in was a PTRF. So I wanted to explain a few things because I was one of those people who did not understand what the acronyms meant, and when I found out what the acronyms meant, then I didn't know what the difference was between a PTRF and an RTC. So I would like to explain that first and foremost because if you guys are anything like me, you don't even know. You don't know, and I didn't know either. So a PTRF, guys, is a facility that is temporary, okay? It is not made for a long stay. It is literally made for usually people who are suicidal, homicidal. They've went off their meds. They need to get back on their meds. It's just for temporary to get them on meds and get them stable. So it is just a place that they keep them for about a month. It can be anywhere from like a week to a month. And it's just made to get them stable. Okay. Now an RTC is a longer stay. It's a residential treatment center, and it's made for a longer stay. in the facility. And it, you know, I'm not really sure, like, maybe people on here who watch this that work in an RTC or know. I don't know what the longest stay is, but from experience with some of my clients in the past and with my stepson, it's about 9 months. It's about a 9-month stay. They figure that they can get things figured out, I guess, in that time frame. I am not really sure. Wish I could be more help there. This thing has a lot of fallout. Don't like that. So, let's talk about this PTRF. So this PTRF is 2 hours from us. And, it was literally a joke. So they kept him for, I looked it up. They kept him for a month. They literally let him eat 6 times a day, 6 meals a day. He did not have to do any school at all, even though I sent his school up there to them for him to do school. He did not have to do any school, and nor did he do any school, so he was a month behind in school. He got to sit around all day long and watch TV and play video games and hang out with the other kiddos that were in the facility. That is what he did all day. When he came home from that facility, guys, that was his first stay in a facility, and it was like, because it was such a good experience for him, because all he wanted to do, and if you guys remember, all he ever wanted to do is just play video games and watch TV and do absolutely nothing else. Well, because they allowed him to do that at this facility, he thought all facilities were grand, that he was going to have the utmost fun. And so when he got out, guys, he got like 1,000 times worse. He was demanding, my lips are always so dry. He was demanding that I would feed him 6 meals a day. Well, okay, in a facility, they are getting paid to take care of these kids. You see, insurance pays their room, their board, everything. And these facilities can afford to do something like that. When you are a normal parent that goes to a normal job, you don't have oodles of money to just make 6 big old meals a day for your kids. You know, you got snacks and you got meal times, and that is what you can afford. Well, my stepson thought, well, as he would put it to me, you have to do that. It's the law, he would tell me. And I would explain to him, I can't afford to feed you that many meals a day. I mean, I just can't afford it. Like, I have snacks and stuff. I always kept fresh stuff in the house. Still to this day, I keep fresh stuff in the house. But yeah, we're not doing where I'm cooking you all of these meals. Well, he would rage about that. He would tell me that he did not have to do school. That he was supposed to just come home and watch TV and play video games all day. And that if he was not given that option, that he was going to make our lives a living hell, which he did. He would rage for hours, guys. He started just peeing and pooping everywhere. He was attacking everybody. He was kicking holes in everything and destroying everything. I mean, it just really got bad. And I was really ticked. I actually called the facility and made the counselor up there talk to him. And the counselor explained to him that we did not have to do that. And that we were not going to do that. And he needed to, do as he was supposed to do. Because worser things could happen. He could end up in jail. He could, end up in an RTC. Yeah, he didn't care about that. So, the second facility was an RTF, and he was there for 9 months. It was a very awesome 9 months for me. I know that sounds awful, but It was a very good 9 months. It was a very peaceful 9 months. The counselor that he had there was absolutely amazing. The psychiatrist he had there was absolutely amazing. I never had to wonder what was going on because they always would send things home. Like, because when I would talk to my stepson on the phone, he would tell me that everything was perfect, everything was going great. He was getting all these points because they're on a point system. He was getting all these points and everything was grand. But the counselor would call. Obviously, my stepson didn't know that they call as much as they do. But he would call us and he would tell us otherwise. And the counselor and the house parent, so it's like the pod boss. I don't know. I don't remember what they called him, guys. How horrible am I? He's the head person of the pod. So there's pods. There's girl pods, boy pods. And then obviously I think there's different age group pods as well. For like the younger kids and then the older kids. But there's pods for each one. The boss of that would also call once a week and he would give us a rundown of what was going on, and he would state the same thing. He would say that my stepson was very manipulative. He was quite the liar. That the other kids, this is pretty much what the counselor was telling us, that the other kids in there did not like him. They would plan to gang up on my stepson because he would do things with these kids and then he would turn around and tell on them. Yeah, that's a big fat no-no. These are dangerous kids that are in there. You know, some of these kids are very dangerous. And this, my stepson thought that was the fire he wanted to play with. Well, it ended up being that nobody liked him in there. Let me see here. So when it was time, so some of the things that people are not understanding, that I want to explain just because I didn't understand it in the beginning either, but I feel like it's something that needs to be said, is to keep a kid in an RTC, they have to be suicidal or homicidal in the facility, okay? If they are not showing constant, so it's like so many days. There's so many days that they have to be suicidal or homicidal. I mean, it can't just be one time. You know, like, oh my God, I'm so mad at everybody, I could just kill them. It can't just be like that. Like, they have to show that they are trying to kill somebody or they are suicidal. Well, my stepkids were never suicidal, so that one's out the door. In the homicide part, kids with attachment disorder. So I learned a whole bunch from this facility. They would explain all of the stuff that I'm explaining to you. If they are not attached to you, they're not going to want to kill you, you see? So that is the bad thing. And this is what they told me. That is the bad thing with kids with reactive attachment disorder, is they don't want to kill everybody. They just want to kill people that are trying to attach to them or that, you know, love them or whatever. Like, people who are attaching, those are the ones that they want to hurt. So they're not going to see that in a facility. Well, this counselor that seen my stepson all the time, he would tell me that he would say pretty much that and I'm just going to say it in a roundabout way, but he didn't say it this way, so don't attack him. I just want to, I don't know how he said it to me, but how I took it in was, he was like pretty much that my stepson was creepy, that he was manipulative, he was quite the liar, he was very, you know, deceitful. He would tell the counselor, you know, the lunch lady didn't give me my food, so I'm still hungry, so can you get me something? I mean, he would literally lie upon everybody in the facility, you know, and he would try to manipulate people into giving him things that he needed, even though those needs were being met. So it was easy to prove, like, our side of things, because he was so manipulative to other people in different ways. Obviously not the same way that he was doing it to us, but to others, that they could see that he was a manipulative person. And that word is really hard for me to say. But he said he was pretty much creepy, that he knew that he needed a lot more time in a facility, that he wanted him to go to a long-term group home, which is different than the group homes that most people think about. This is like one that has like nurses and 24/7 watch, and it's locked down. It's like different than, because I thought group home was like where like the bad kids go for a moment, but no. This is like one that's locked down, and it's like an RTC, but it's where you live for pretty much the rest of your life. In fact, my mom, I believe, works in a facility like that. She's in a group home place for mentally challenged people. Theirs were done by like severe abuse or like really bad alcohol, fetal alcohol syndrome and things like that. This is just a little bit different. Well, anyways, he stated that he wanted him to go to a long-term facility because he did not feel that it was safe for him to go into any home. He said he could tell he's very dangerous. It was interesting because at the facility, he did not pee on anything, but at home he peed on everything. The counselor knew that things were always, because of the attachment disorder, that things were only going to happen at home. Well, in this group home setting, they have people switch out so much. So there's, how he explained it to me, was that there's like several homes, and there's so many people that work in each home. And if anybody works in one of these facilities, I would love to hear your representation, but this is how it was told to me. So anyways, there's several homes, and there's lots of people that work in each home, and every day they work with a different client, and then their rotation the next time they get a lot of days off from work, because yeah, you need to have a lot of days off working with people like this. But they would get a lot of days off, and when they would come back, they would actually go to a different house. And they would do the same thing there. So they would work with patient A one day. The next day they would work with patient B. And I think they told me there was like 5 people in a house. 5 kids in a house. Or I don't know. 5 people. 5 residents. Because I guess if it's long term, I guess you could have different ages. I don't know how they group that. But they would switch them through the 5, and then they would go to a new house. So by the time they made it back to that first house, it would be a little while. So that these kids don't attach to anybody in the facility. So therefore they don't see a lot of the attachment issues that go on. But what I find is interesting is they do keep the same psychiatrist and same counselor. So I don't know if those people see that if the kids try to attach to them, or if the people that live there try to attach to them. That part I don't know. But what I do know is he did not want him to ever be in a home setting. You know, they were just like, this is never going to work out. You know, because when the counselor would talk to him, and especially when we had our group counseling, he would admit, my stepson would admit to the things he was doing to us. There was never denial in, so it wasn't like we were saying one thing and my stepson was saying something different. He was saying, yes, you know, I am doing those things, or, you know, he would admit it. So they knew it was going on because he would admit it. They had found out that, I mean, they gave me and my husband lots of information. Like, they found out with counseling and stuff that my stepson remembered all of the abuse from his mom. he remembered the stuff from when he was younger, and they talked about it quite often. That was a lot of his problem, is like he was abused by his mom, not just neglected, but he was also abused by her. There was never any sexual abuse. They never got to any sexual abuse. Still to this day, there's never been any talk of sexual abuse. But there was lots of physical abuse. There was, majority was neglect. There was a lot of neglect that went on with my stepkids. Just like, you know, I don't really want you, therefore I'm not dealing with you. You take care of your own basic needs. You wash your own laundry. You do your own dishes. You find your own food. You take baths and showers when you remember to get in there to do it. I mean, it was just stuff like that, you know, to the extreme. So they ended up finding a facility, I can't remember what the dang name of what they call it, but this group home. They find a couple group homes, and each one that they would find, none of them took insurance, guys. They didn't take insurance. They were all self-pay. And the amounts on there was like none of this payment plan thing like you guys would think, you know, like pay $300 a month. You know, we'll do this. No. It was like really expensive and really high. And there's no way we would ever be able to afford to send him to a facility. Which sucked because we wanted it more than ever because, well, you know, it was really, really rough. But he tried, he could not find one because he was not suicidal, and they literally kept him longer than what they could have kept or should have kept him, per insurance, standards. They kept him, you know, as long as they could. But eventually, if they are not suicidal, homicidal, and there's no proof of that, they have to send them home. So first what they did was they did a couple home visits. They do them for a weekend. The child comes home and they send you home with like a score sheet, and you kind of score out how things are. Well, my stepson by far isn't a dummy, and he knows how to fake things. Very much so, which was interesting that he would even try to fake things to come home because he loved the facility. He loved the fact, you know, he didn't have to attach to anybody. The expectations of him were not normal expectations of what a normal family's expectations are. Actually, after his first visit, because he wanted to, my stepson wanted to have praise for going to the bathroom. He wanted to have praise for brushing his teeth. He wanted to have praise for getting up out of bed. And so when I sent my scorecard thing back, bleh, can't talk, I wanted to, you know, I wrote that stuff down. Like, how is us as parents going to praise them at every single minute minute of their day? Like, how do you expect any parent to be able to do that? You're asking for things that just cannot happen. I mean, not just in my home, but in normal homes. Like, how are you expecting this? Well, they called me and they asked me, you know, because what you don't understand is the kids that would come out of these facilities, me as a social worker would work with these kids. But I didn't have, only had like 2 rad kids on my docket, and they ended up going into a full-time facility. Let's get that straight first. Kids that are like that, just, they don't find any healing for them. But I would get like other kids with behavioral problems and stuff out of the facility. So they wanted my advice, and I said, when they start getting close to the end of getting out of these facilities, that point system should kind of go away, and they should be taught that, you know, these are normal things, that going to the bathroom is a normal thing. You don't get rewarded. I mean, maybe in my stepson's case, you would get rewarded for going to the bathroom and the toilet. But I'm talking about normal kids. I mean, getting up out of bed that is a normal thing. Why are you getting praise for getting up? You know, if there's just some things that you would have to start transitioning these kids off the point system. So they developed a pod that these kids would go to before they got released. They would go to this pod that didn't do points, and it just transitioned differently. The visit went just fine. We didn't expect anything less, honestly. We were already prepared for that, as the counselor told me, that he was very aware of the point system. He was very aware that if he did good on the visit, that he would get to come home. He was very aware, as he had found that information out from other kids in the facility that had been there before. So he knew that. And so we expected that to go really well, and it did. The second visit home did not. We were shocked because, you know, he very much wanted to stay in this facility because his expectations were, you know, very little. Like, he got rewarded for everything, and he just, you know, likes to be rewarded for everything. I mean, if he says hello, you better reward him. He's very egotistical, I guess, in that sense. That is what the counselor called it. He's very egotistical. He's very much a narcissist. Things like that. I mean, we heard that the whole time. So that facility ended up not finding a group home, a permanent group home, that he needed to go to by their expectations. They wanted him to go to that facility. They couldn't find one. So they started making plans for him to come home. We actually denied the first 2 times. We said no, we weren't picking him up. We didn't feel he was ready. They kept him an extra couple months based on that alone. I wish we could have did that the whole time. But the counselor kind of guided us in that sense of what we could say and what we could kind of get away with to keep him there longer. We did what we could do when it came, whoops, don't fall. When it came to that, we pushed it as long as we could push it, with being like, no, you're not coming home. Let's see here. Third facility was back to a PTRF. The same one that he went to the first time. We only have one, guys, and it is 2 hours from us. That is the only one that we have. We do not live in a big city. I live in Wyoming, where things are not like you're used to seeing. We don't have a lot of anything. And to be able to use facilities outside of Wyoming, it has to be special circumstances. So we couldn't just be like, well, we're going to send them to a place in Maine. You know, insurance covers certain things, and if you have things in the network, then you have to use those things first. Because everybody would say, well, why not send them here? Why not send them there? It's strictly because insurance will only pay so much, and as normal people that work, we can't afford, you know, 20 to 30 to 40, some of them were 40,000 a month to send them elsewhere out of pocket. We couldn't afford that, guys. I wish we could have, but unfortunately we could not afford that. And I'm really liking this glitter. I want everybody to know that it's really good glitter out of this palette with MAC. It's pretty decent. It's not like super pigmented, but it's enough for me right now. So that PTRF, he was there a month before they transferred him to another RTC. Now, this is the fun, interesting part. So when he gets to this facility, or when he's in PTRF, in the same one, come on, do not shed. I hate when eyeshadow sheds. So it does shed. There's a lot of fallout, guys. So when he's in this RTC, or PTRF, sorry, got myself off track. When he was in this PTRC, he was telling his counselor that, you know, when they told him they were going to send him to an RTC, he was saying that he was so excited because he was going to get to go and see his friends. Now, there's a few things I want to note. Let me note something really quick. Okay. First, the first facility I told you about, he went to PTRF, and they released him quicker than normal. They released him quicker than normal because he was sexually predatorial since a 7-year-old boy that was in there. So bad that he didn't want to come home because he wanted to stay to protect the 7-year-old boy. As he would put it to the counselors, as he would put it to us. He didn't want to leave this boy because he loved him. And they had to get him out of the facility, okay? That was one of the reasons why it was kind of a rush job to get him out of that first facility, which was the same one that he's going into now. So now he's going back into this facility again. And they have the notion that he preys on younger people. They have this written down so they know it. So the first time when he was in RTC, which I will never understand this to this day, but he was 12 and they put him in the kiddie side of PTRF with all the little kids. And I will never to this day understand that. Because why wouldn't they put him with the other ones? Well, when I asked, all they would tell me is that those bigger kids would eat him alive. That's all they would say. That they will prey on him because he was a small guy and he ran his mouth too much, and that those older boys would prey on him. That's all they would tell me. Well, the second time, he was all excited to go to PTRF. He was like so excited about that. He was like, good, I'm so glad I'm going. And he gets in there and we're doing the check-in stuff, and he was like, is this nurse still working? And is this nurse still working? And he knew what nurses that he could pull crap over on, and he wanted to know who was working, and he was going to see all his friends and stuff. And then they said to him, well, I am so sorry. You're not going in that side. You're going in with the kids your age. His face dropped out of his ass because he thought he was going to go back into kinder again. And they just informed him that he was not going into the kinder side anymore, where they don't do school, where they don't, where they just sit around and watch cartoons and stuff. He wasn't going into that side. He was going in with the teenagers. He was not happy about that. So that was the first thing he was not happy about. And he decided at that point he no longer wanted to be there. Now he wants to go home, you see. He doesn't want to be there no more. So he tries to run. Obviously, it's a locked facility. He couldn't go far. He tries the crying. The crying didn't work. And in he goes. So down the road, he can't be in PTRF forever. They decide that he is going, and he did have a hard time on the older kids side, because you see, younger kids don't see through bullshit as much as older kids do. Older kids see through stuff way fast, and they won't put up with it. And so I guess somehow, some way, I'm pretty sure my stepson was running his mouth, but the other kids in there found out that he attacked his mom, me, and his younger siblings, and they were not happy. Most of those kids in there do not have parents, and they want parents, or they do not have a good home life. So when he talked about his side of things, these kids were very pissed off at him. Well, then it gets time where he can't be in there anymore, and they have to transfer him to the RTC, and he is like, oh my God, thank God. I can't wait to see this counselor. I can't wait to see this person. You know, well, that facility would no longer take him. They said that they felt they did everything that they could do for him, that he needed to go to a permanent group home, and that coming to their facility would not help him because they had tried everything they had already tried. So they had me and Dad pick out a new facility for him to go to. He was freaking pissed because he knew how to run the system. And a lot of times these kids do not go back to the same system. Because if that they don't feel like they can help them anymore, or they gave them all the help they could get, why would they take them back? Now, if they had fixed a kid, I know this from experience with some of my clients, if the kids were doing good and they relapsed and went backwards, they would take them back because their therapy had worked before. So it would probably work again. Well, they did not fix my stepson. They weren't even remotely close to fixing my stepson, so they refused to take him. So we picked out another facility that was in another state because there wasn't any other facility in Wyoming that would take my stepson. They all said no. They said they had heard about him when they had called before, because when you were trying to place a child in a facility, they have you send, not us, but they have the psychiatrist or whoever's trying to send them there. They have them send their medical records or whatever, diagnosis, all of that stuff. And they can see like things they have did and stuff. Well, they said no. All of the ones in Wyoming said no. Will not take him. He is dangerous and we do not want him here. And they can do that, guys. They can refuse help. If they don't feel that they can keep all of their clientele safe. And the PTRF, this is why I had to tell you that part, because he had sexually aggressively went after a young 7-year-old boy and preyed on him. His age group in an RTC are all kind of together because they don't get enough of each age to put them all separate. So they put like, I think the youngest is like 9. So 9 to, I don't know, 15 together, 9 to 13 together, and they're in a bunch. And so they didn't feel that they could keep other kids in the facility safe, so they wouldn't take them. So we had to pick from other states at this point. We picked this one that was down in Utah. And we had to drive them there, believe it or not. They don't transfer them. So we drove him down to Utah, to this facility. And let's just say my stepson did not like this facility as much as he liked the other facilities, because the kids in this facility did not like my stepson in any sense. I guess from what I understand from the counselor, there is other kids in there. Quite a few. We're talking about bigger cities, so you're going to see a lot more things than you see in Wyoming. But from what I understand, there was a lot of kids with reactive attachment disorder, or in that facility particularly. I just want to see if this lash is going to look good if I stick it on me. So it's not stuck down. I'm just trying it out to see if I will like it. My boyfriend bought me these lashes for Christmas. Come on, stick just for a minute so I can see. Ooh, look at those. Those are pretty neat. I don't know if I want to wear them today, but they're pretty freaking neat. Well, anyways, back to the story. Sorry. If you're a girl and you wear lashes, you understand. So then, oh, there we go with the so then. My daughter says that, my youngest. She says, so then. So he wasn't very thrilled to go to this place because these kids did not like him. And they nicknamed him Crybaby McDonald's. Because I guess he has he does have a widow's peak. He has a widow's peak, I guess. I don't know. They nicknamed him McDonald's, other things. And they didn't let him get by with shit. Not only that, the psychiatrist and counselors were tougher, had more expectations for him, and expected more out of him than other facilities did. Like, you're not getting, there was no point system. You're not getting any points for doing anything. You're just going to get up and you're going to do it. He didn't like that. He actually had to get up and go to school. Well, in the last RTC, he did go to school as well. Don't get me wrong, he did. And it's a very good facility. It really is. I've seen good things come out. I've also seen some bad come out, but it's not the facility's fault, right? Anyways, when he would call home, it wouldn't be as often as he did before because he didn't have anything great to talk about because he was getting in trouble left and right. They were seeing him for his crap and they were calling him on his crap daily. He just didn't get by with anything. All of his reports that were coming home were bad. They knew exactly who he was. And it was probably the best facility for him, honestly, because they knew him for what he was. You know, there was no, oh, my mom abused me, so where's my free pass? You are now old enough to know better, and there is no free pass. So you went through bad things, but you're old enough now to know right from wrong. You know hurting a baby is wrong. You know killing animals is wrong, and you chose to do that. So, you know, they held him responsible for all of his crap. Well, his counselor there, who was a very nice lady, I don't know if she still works there, but she was telling us that she did not want him to come home either. She wanted him to go into a long-term group home as well. And she was adamant. Like, she called everybody that she could call. She had me call people. And she was like, this kid is psychotic. And if he goes home, he's going to hurt his family. And there's just no way that I want to send him home. And again, she ran into the same problem as the other one did. Whew. Everything would have to be out of pocket. We can't afford that, therefore that wasn't going to happen. Let me do my lips really quick. Not that I have much lips to do. This one's a lot darker. Whatever, we'll try it. She couldn't find anything. We get to the point where he has to come home. Again. Dreadful day. Every time that would happen, everybody in my house would get really depressed. Nobody wanted him here. Things would be so much calmer and safer when he wasn't here. So of course my kids were just like, really? But he had to come back home. And we went and got him. And each time he went to a facility, he got just a little bit worse and a little bit worse. So that's when people are saying, just send him to a facility, send him to a facility. With that, you have to understand a lot of these kids that have mental disorders are followers. And they also take on other people's personalities. And they usually get worse. And he did. He continued to get worse. The last place he went to was a group home. Was not the kind of group home that I've been saying that he needed to go to this whole time. It was just like a Bad Kids group home, which is like a house. And they have like 2 people that work there. And somebody's with them 24/7, but they don't really watch them. It's just like, it's supposed to be relief for 30 days. So they only keep you like 30 days. You can request for a 60-day stay. That is the most. They don't do counseling. They don't really do any rehabilitation. They don't do anything. It's just like a temporary place to plop your kid so parents can get a break. Parents can put them there. You don't even need to have them placed. So he had severely beat up his one sister, his biological sister, my other stepkid, over an apple. She had saved her apple from lunch, and brought it home. He wanted it. She saved it for a snack for herself. Didn't want to give it to him. She hid it under her bed when she was coming out from hiding it. He jumped on her chest, jumped on her stomach, kicked her in the head. Ambulance was called. It was a big deal. That event did not happen in this house. This is after I kicked out Dad, and I will get to that in my story tomorrow. There's just been so much talk about facilities and why didn't you do this? I wanted to make this video today to kind of make people understand the things that we did do or that we didn't do. But anyways, he caught a charge. The police arrested him and took him to the department, and they were trying to find somewhere to send him. CPS obviously was involved. They couldn't find anywhere to put him because nobody would take him. Obviously, we're at the point where now Utah, that facility won't take him, and nobody in Wyoming will take him. The group home before always said no, they would not take him. They lied to the group home to get him into the facility. That was an interesting freaking ride with that group home. So the head person of the group home, who only spent 2 days with my stepchild, I ended up getting into it with her pretty badly, actually. So he's in the group home. They put in for an MDT meeting, which is mandatory for them to do within a certain time period. Happened to be 2 days with ours. It's 48 hours. So they call me. Dad was at work out of town, so they had him gonna do the MDT meeting by phone. I was gonna be in person. And they called me and told me I needed to go to the school and pick him up. So I go to the school, I get him, and he's like, "You're not allowed to be around me." This lady, we won't say her name, she said that you're not, if you come around me, that the cops are gonna arrest you. And I said, you know, they told me to come get you. They told me to come get you. So I'm supposed to pick you up to take you to this MDT meeting. They had already told him he was having an MDT meeting, so he already knew. He's like, "I'm not going with you." Well, it was me, my boyfriend, my best friend, all of my kids in the car. I have a big Suburban. He's throwing a fit. He goes into the very last row of my car. He proceeds to start kicking my windows, trying to kick them out. He, for some reason, jumps into the very back. I guess it would be the trunk part of my car. He jumps to the very back and is screaming at the top of his lungs. And I mean screaming at the top of his lungs. We record it. He's saying very foul things, kicking the window. My boyfriend slams on the brake, tells him that the car will not move until he shuts the hell up because he is screaming loud and the rest of us don't need to hear that. He does not stop. I'm like, please just drive to CPS's office. Please just get there. Like, I'm done with this. I don't want to be in this car with him anymore. Like, he's just being violent in the car and there's seats between us. And I'm just trying to get there. And it's not that far of a drive, guys. It's like, maybe 2 blocks. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 4 blocks. It's not that far from the school to where he's supposed to be going. So we get there. I get out. I have to pop the trunk, you know, the hatch or whatever, on the back of my Suburban. So we pop the hatch at CPS, and he comes running out of there, runs all the way up the stairs into the office, and he's crying and he's in hysterics. And I come up obviously slower because my fat butt isn't going to run up the stairs. I'm so out of shape, it's pitiful. So they're like, "What is going on?" I show him a clip of the video. I tell him what he said, that this person had told him I was not allowed to pick him up, that I was not allowed to be around him, etc. They said that that wasn't true, that me and Dad still had rights to him, etc. So then they get him They take him into a room. They give him pop. They give him candy. They give him a coloring book. I think he was, I want to say he was 14. And they stay in there with him for a little bit. Everybody is sitting here at this big old long table waiting for this MDT meeting to start. They come in there like, we're going to give him some time to cool down. Pour him, pour etc. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, why was that allowed? Him calling us vulgar names, kicking my windows and stuff, like, you know, that's not supposed to go on. There was supposed to be some kind of consequence for this type of behavior at the group home from the paperwork that we had signed. So then finally he comes moseying in, and this lady, she's like, come here, you can sit by me. So my stepson sits at the opposite end of the table. All of a sudden, my girlfriend was with me. She came upstairs, my best friend, she came with me. All of a sudden, we were the bad guys. We were the mean villain in this story. So they start going around the table talking about my stepson. This lady, she was the first person to talk. So my stepson at this point had been in the group home 2 days. And so she's like, he is the best, most kindest, sweetest kid ever. We have no issues with him. I believe that this is a home issue and a parenting issue. Like literally attacking the crap out of me. And I'm sitting there and I can feel the fires of the depths of hell, as always, guys, coming from my asshole. And I am getting pretty fired up. So I'm a redhead. I'm normally an orange head, but I put this brown in there to make it not so bad. But yeah, I'm still a redhead. And I'm an Aries. And I'm getting pissed. And I don't get mad very easy. Pretty calm person. I mean, obviously I kept these kids for 11 years. You got to be pretty calm for that, right? But I'm pretty calm, chill person. Try to be as happy as I can be. This lady's pissing me the hell off. She keeps going of how amazing he is, which I'm sure, you know, you get paid to do that. But when you start attacking our parenting skills and saying it's a parenting problem only, they have no issues, everything is grand. She gets done talking. Maybe for a split second she got done talking. When she went to take a breath, I'm like, excuse me? This is a parenting issue? You have been with my son for 2 freaking days. In fact, you are the manager and you do not even sit at the house with him. Other people sit with him. You are an outsider who, from a few little encounters you had with him, I found out later on it was only 1 encounter she ever had with him, but let's just say at this time I was like, for a few encounters you had with him, you were going to state that it is a parenting problem. Do you freaking know me? And her eyes get really big and I'm like, you don't freaking know me. I'll answer for you. You don't freaking know me. You don't know my parenting style. I said, do you know that I have 4 other very successful kids? I am very successful. I'm not some freaking lowlife out there who doesn't know how to take care of kids, just, you know, doing whatever. I said, and you're freaking judging me and I don't freaking like it. And so she grabs her keys and she's like doing the dramatic, I'll just leave since my opinion. Like, lady, that's so freaking 2nd grade. I mean, I told her that. I'm like, this is so 2nd grade. Sit down and shut the hell up. I said, you don't know to be speaking on behalf of my parenting skills or who I am as a person. So shut your freaking mouth before I shut it for you. Like, you have done pissed me off. When you attacked me, when I did nothing. Are you kidding me? And I'm telling you, towards the end of having these kids, I started fighting back and getting where I was sick as shit. And she was the first person that I was sick as shit. So this is where I am just like, I'm done. So I looked at everybody at the table and I said, well, obviously this is because nobody stopped her. I felt like, okay, this is a parenting bashing conversation. And do you need any info from me? And they all kind of just dead stared at me. And I'm like, obviously not. So y'all have a good day and you have fun parent bashing, but I won't sit here and listen to it because literally I don't give a crap if he comes home or not. I hope he does stay there. And I said, and I looked at her and I said, let me tell you something. Him telling me that you're going to take him home and you're going to adopt him and all of this stuff, I have it right here on video of him saying it. And my stepson's eyes get really big, you know. He's like, oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I promise, person, that I didn't tell them what you told me. I said I wouldn't. And I was like, well, y'all can deal with that because I'm out. I'm out. I am so far out. I'm like, do not call me anymore for these stupid meetings because I will not come. My husband was on the phone at the time. And I was so happy because I felt very alone in that room. At that moment, he spoke up and he was just like, you know what? I don't want them back at my house either, and I really don't want anything to do with them either. I'm also done with this crap. It seems that it's everybody else's problem with you guys instead of his problem or the actions that he's doing. So if you guys think that, that means that we are in the wrong and we are bad, horrible people. So why would you want them back in our home? We are both done. I'm getting off the phone as well. Y'all have a good day. He hung up. I walked out. That was the last meeting I have ever did pertaining to my stepson. Later on down the road, he had a court hearing because he was charged with hurting his sibling. He hurt 2 siblings that day, but he was only being charged for his biological sister, not my child, that he attacked on. And my child was on video camera and hers was not, but he was only being charged with hers. If that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what would. But anyways, we're sitting in court, me and Dad are. We sat in the very back. CPS was there, the guardian ad litem. If you don't know what a guardian ad litem is, it is an attorney for the child. His attorney also was there. Bio mom was there. Me and Dad were there. The judge was there, obviously. So they get up and they speak. CPS goes first and she explains that the group home can no longer keep the boy because for his safety they need to find somewhere else for him to go because the other kids don't like him at the facility and are attacking him. And from what I understand from other people, and I won't say who, he had gotten into an altercation at the group home where the cops were called. I did hear that through the grapevine. But anyways, they're stating that they can no longer keep him at the group home. This said lady was no longer in court. It was a house mom that was sitting in court on the behalf of the group home. Really a nice lady, actually. They stated they could no longer keep him and they needed to find other placement. CPS has stated that no RTC or PTF in the state of Wyoming would take him. They did not know what to do. So they were looking at placing him back with me and Dad. And Dad spoke up and Dad said, no, thank you. I will have to do a hard pass on that. Even though me and Dad at that point were no longer living together, then they speculated that maybe my house, and I said, nope, that's a hard pass for me too. So the guardian ad litem gets up there and says, you know, we have did an inspection of mom's house. That is not a safe environment for him to go to because, okay, first, bio mom speaks and says, I would like for him to come with me. I've always wanted him and I would love him and take care of him. You know, more fucking clown bullshit that she does in court. But then the guardian ad litem gets up there and said, we have did an inspection of her home. Her home is not a safe place for a kid. She can barely take care of herself, let alone a kid. She's living in a 1-bedroom assisted living facility with her mom where she's not supposed to be anyways. We don't want the kid there. CPS got up there, stated the same thing, that it was not a good idea, not a safe environment, etc., etc. They asked my stepson, he was like, I would love to go with my mom. I've always wanted to be with my mom. Like, more clown bullshit in court. It's always clown bullshit. It's like lie after lie after lie. It's just, where can I get what I want? Because, okay, and I forgot to mention the group home, she was sneaking him cell phones that he wasn't supposed to have. She was signing him out of school for the day when she wasn't supposed to. This stuff was being reiterated back to my husband, who had to continuously put a stop on it. she was going up there and visiting him when she wasn't supposed to be visiting him unless it was in a supervised situation through the paid supervisor, you know, that the court had assigned. So, of course, he's getting all this stuff that he wants. I think she also bought him an Xbox or a computer or something. But, of course, he's getting what he wants there. So, he wants to go back there. And the judge kind of just throws his hands up and he was like, I just don't know what you guys want me to do. Where am I supposed to put him? He was like, the only person that wants him isn't suitable to take him. So he's like, I'm going to have to sentence him to Bio Mom's house. And he looks at my stepson and he says, I don't care if there's nowhere for you to sleep. You can sleep on the floor. You can sleep on the couch. You guys are going to have to figure it out. Because I don't have anywhere to put you and nobody wants you. Wants to take you, you know. And he got sentenced to his Bio Mom's house. And as soon as the judge said that, me and my husband at the same time woohooed as loud as we could. And we got up and we left the courtroom. We didn't even finish the rest of the court. We were so happy at that point. You know, for 11 years, I attempted to keep him safe from her. But nobody tried to keep him from hurting us. And I felt like after we had exhausted, or I should say, I myself had exhausted everything that I had left in me, it was time for him to go somewhere else. And we figured he was old enough at this age that it wasn't like he was going to be really a victim to her anymore, because he's old enough now to take care of himself. In fact, in March, he will be 18 years old. So, he's only been out of my house, I think, a year. A little over a year, like a year and 3 months or something. So, it's not like he was a little kid who couldn't defend himself. He can defend himself. You know, he's killing animals and trying to kill people. He can defend himself, you know, and people can judge either way on that. But he needed to not be here at my house, and I could no longer save him or his sister. I had did my time. It feels like a prison sentence, honestly. Like, I feel like I did my 11 years and I'm ready to get my bus ticket and go home. And finally, for the first time in a very long time, I can smile. I can enjoy sitting in here doing this video for you guys with no chaos going on behind me. As long as my 6-year-old has snacks, because you know I'm her snack bitch. As long as she's got snacks, she's good while I do these videos. My kids are precious and they're good kids, and I can see that now, where before I couldn't see things because so much bad was going on, and now I can see everything that is so good. Everybody's asking to see a tour of my house. I am remodeling my house at the moment. My bedroom here has already pretty much been done. You can see some of it, but I'll move it a little bit. That is my boyfriend. You see him? On the wall. We put this wall in. There's my bed. But we are remodeling my house. My bedroom's completely different. Granted, I don't have that big of a bedroom. I'm happy with it. My living room doesn't even look remotely the same anymore. My boyfriend is amazing. He has did so much. So my boyfriend owns his own business and he puts in flooring. So of course I'm getting all new flooring through my house. He took down walls. He put up new walls. He painted. He's helped me so much. I do all the decorating and designing, and he does all the brunt work because he just does. We are getting ready to remodel my bathroom. So excited. He's putting a whole new bathtub, shower. I painted the vanity. I put a whole new vanity. It's an antique vanity. I'm getting one of those things that go on top with the waterfall. Taller toilet, because I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but I'm considered disabled. I have a really hard time. Actually, this past week, I've had a really bad week, guys. My body has hurt so bad. Can barely walk. I feel like I'm walking on stilts because my legs can't bend right now. I'm hurting so bad. But he's put in a taller toilet, so I don't have such a hard time there. Some safety features into my tub shower, so I don't fall, because that's one of the places I fall the most. He usually assists me with getting in and out of the shower or the tub, which is great. We remodeled my dining room and my kitchen. It's not done, or I would show you. We are remodeling my kids' bathroom because my stepkids destroyed the kids' bathroom pretty bad. So there's holes in the doors and other things from the attacks. My stepdaughter took my disabled child into the bathroom, where she proceeded to try to choke her and punch her out. And my boyfriend had, but I'm going to get to those stories tomorrow and the next day, because it'll probably be a 2-part series of being poisoned, the attacks she did on me, the attacks she did on my disabled child, the sneaking out. That story in itself is pretty big. Yeah, we will get to those as well. But yeah, we're remodeling everything in my house, and I'm hoping, I would like to continue this channel even after Kids That Kill, because some nice woman on my page said to me, "You're a grandma?" I am a grandma to 2 beautiful, a little girl and a little boy. The little girl is 4, so she's only 2 years younger than my youngest, and the little boy is 4 months old. My oldest is 27. She is a product of rape at 15. But this beautiful woman on my YouTube channel, in my comments, she said, "I feel like there's a story with that." So I was going to ask all of you guys if you would be interested in hearing other stories of my life. For instance, my being raped, which will be a hard story, being ran over by one of my boyfriends with his truck. I was with a guy for 8 years who locked me in the house and beat the living crap out of me for some time. Or my first husband, who committed suicide in my bed. If you guys would be interested in any of those stories later on, it probably really would help me to talk about it and deal with it, because I haven't went to counseling for any of that stuff. And talking about this kind of stuff is really seem to be helping me. Even my counselor says that your guys' support on this channel, because he looks at it, has been very good for my well-being, and he sees big changes in me since I started doing this. So if you guys would be interested in hearing those stories after Kids That Kill, I think I'm going to continue this channel and work on a lot of the things that have traumatized me all of my life. There's been some pretty big things, but a lot of things with men. I am not a very good chooser of men. I'm hoping that I am now, because the boyfriend I have now is absolutely amazing. But in the past, I was not very good at choosing men, and I've gotten some pretty big things that happened in my life. So if you would like to hear that, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I won't worry about it, and I will deal with it some other way. But for now, guys, I have to go and make more chocolate. Go check out my Etsy page. It's the Wyoming Sunflower. I sell chocolates. I do hot cocoa bombs. I also do mental health planners. I also do regular planners that have mental health and finance in there. Go check it out if you're interested in any of that. This is not a sales thing by any sense. If you don't want to check it out, it's fine with me too. No sales pitch. Just if you're interested, I have a lot of people asking me. Feel free to go check it out. I would love the support in any sense. But for now, you guys have a good day. I'll miss you. Be good in the world. Put more good in than you take out. Bye now, guys.